Hello there, folks. This is Stephen Dorrell. He is a former Conservative Member of Parliament, spending the best part of 36 years representing both Loughborough or Charnwood constituencies during that time. He was the Health Minister for the fag end of John Major's tenure, but has subsequently joined the Liberal Democrats over the Tories' miserable handling of the entire Brexit debacle. The self-described Liberal Conservative joined Julia Hartley-Brewer and buried the current Conservative Party headbangers, as well as Nigel Farage, over their abject dishonesty over both migration and Brexit. This really goes to show that there once was a reasonable calibre of Tory MP, prior to the days of Brexit, of course. People you wouldn't necessarily agree with on anything, really, but their presence in Parliament wasn't entirely self-serving. There are so few people matching anything close to that description in the current Conservative Party, and I think the public, by and large, are waking up to that. Hence the wipeout they are faced with. Let's take a look at this.
What is the issue? Why is this Conservative government and predecessors not enacted what many people would consider to be Conservative policies?
Well, just to be clear, Julia, as you know, I think very well, I left the Tory party because I think that the current government has failed to deliver on the interests of the people. I suspect your previous speaker would regard me as somehow related to the North London dinner party circuit. I've never been to a dinner party in North London and live in the West Midlands. But the core seems to me to delivering successful government looking forward is to address the fact that the British economy has failed to deliver improving living standards and the tax revenues to pay for improving public services. That's the first point. And the second point, and incidentally, I know you and I will disagree about this, but that's been made significantly worse by the introduction of Brexit.
Of course it has.
And then secondly, within the public services, what we haven't done is focus the resources on those that are able, for example, in the NHS, to deliver better health, rather than having what I regard as an absurd programme to build 40 new hospitals, which isn't a programme, it was a press release, 40 new hospitals, rather than improving prevention and community services.
Okay. I mean, going back to the issue of migration, which very much in the news, 20 more Tory MPs, including Lee Anderson, Deputy Chair of the Conservative Party, calling for issues now to cut net migration by 2/3 before the 2024 general election. I mean, it's not going to happen. Everyone knows it's not going to happen, but it could happen. That's the stroke of a pen. These are people coming from outside the EU. If they were in the EU, we could still do something about it. It's about the wage levels you require, the sort of visa requirements you have. Would that be desirable to you?
No, I don't think it would be desirable. I mean, this is an aspect of policy where politicians, and in particular, in my view, Tory politicians, but even more so, actually, the guy you mentioned previously, Nigel Farage, have been just openly dishonest with the British people. What we've seen in the years since Brexit is people leaving this country who, with the result that we can't deliver the public services, in particular in social care, that we need to deliver. If you want a growing economy, there have to be people working in that economy. And furthermore, I don't actually think it's in this country's interest to divorce ourselves either from our trading partners on the continent of Europe or indeed elsewhere in the world. The dishonesty of the migration argument is transparent. People said we needed to leave the EU in order to cut migration.
No, they didn't. They said in order to control immigration, to have a say. That was not about cutting, it was about controlling. That was the specific thing. We get to decide who comes in.
Well, yes, but when we were members of the EU, the growing numbers were actually from outside the EU that we could have done something about and chose not to.
How typically disingenuous of Hartley-Brewer to pretend cutting migration and controlling migration were any different in the mind of a foaming at the mouth Brexiteer. All they ever seem to bang on about is how the United Kingdom is full and how we can't possibly take in any more. Hence why 30p Lee and 19 other goon Tory MPs are demanding net migration is cut by 2/3 prior to the next general election. You just know that Anderson is seeking a headline or a press release saying, "Oh look, net migration is down to 200,000. It's a miracle. Tories are delivering for Britain." It is completely irrelevant to him if those 200,000 are some of our finest minds, largest businesses, healthcare professionals, etc., etc., because he is entirely in self-preservation mode to save his own skin. The idea that any of these 20 Tory MPs care about what is best for this country is completely laughable. But this is what Brexit has created. The inward-looking loonies, who would rather feed each other baked beans and goad women into eating cat food. It's just astonishing. A man who was Health Secretary in 1996 has his finger on the pulse to the needs of the NHS far more than any Health Secretary in the past 13 years. Unfortunately, the problems have been allowed to mount up so considerably, prevention and community services wouldn't really make a dent in the current backlog. People who are unwell and aren't being treated are likely to remain unwell, and their condition may even deteriorate. Purely anecdotally, I know somebody with chronic back pain. Doctors know what the issue is, and he is awaiting surgery and has been now for over a year, during which time he has become hooked on strong painkillers, which have also messed up his insides. Problems not being treated, left to get even worse, leading to people dropping out of the workforce, meaning we need people to make up those numbers by entering the workforce. But instead, we're having to fight against 30p Lee and his ilk to stop this country slipping further down the drain. Well done to Stephen Dorrell for calling those people out, and Farage, of course. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment, of course. It helps me out immensely. I'm grateful as always, and I'll catch you again soon.